and welcome. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today for this year's History Month Women's presentation. We have a trailblazer with us, as the theme mentions on the platform, trailblazer woman who will pave the way for future generations. I am CW4 retired, Junior Johnson. I figured this would be great to get all dressed up, so I got all dressed up. Trailblazing woman, we have a phenomenal lady with us. She is First Sergeant Danielle. She is the youngest of 5. Phenomenal determination, drive, and inspired her to provide us some information as far as the trails that women have to go through in order to get things accomplished. Now, the major theme depicted is embodied by the women with us and those that have gone before us. She is the first female to command unit in Greensboro, Comes unit in Greensboro, North Carolina. She is the first female to be in charge of 300 Marine detachment in Latvia, where it was an 11,000 member NATO coordinated effort, where she managed all these people. Now, to follow up, she has made an indelible remark on her troops and those around us. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be Naval Surface Warfare Center, Dogman Division, Dam Neck, take the welcome to First Sergeant.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Chief Staff, XO, thank you for having me. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to hear what I have to say. Not that what I say is that important, but some think it is. It is important, but I am modest. I don't see what I've done as trailblazing, but others do. So let's do this. All right. To the men out there, I promise you this isn't going to be a man-bashing speech, if you will. So when Junior approached me, asked me to do this, I was like, what? No, like, I haven't done anything that great. And he's like, no, yes, you have. You know how positive he is. Yeah, you have that. And I was like, all right, okay, I'll do this. And then later is when he told me what the topic was. And I'm like, how in the world am I going to narrow down thousands of amazing women we've had in our history to 30 minutes or whatever it's going to be? And then it just so happened I was on USMC.mil, and there was a banner, and it talked about women Marines celebrating 100 years in the Marine Corps. So I was like, that's perfect. All right, now I have something I can narrow it down and talk about women in the Marine Corps. 100 years. It's great, but think about how old we are. But back in 1918, when Ophel May Johnson joined the Marine Corps, the recruiting poster was "Free a man to fight," and it had a woman with her skirt on, and you think about that, free a man to fight. So their job is going to be clerical and stuff on the back end so the men can go out. And these women had to attend etiquette school, and they had to learn how to do their hair properly and how to apply makeup and how to curtsy and sit properly in their skirt, and nothing like today. They're issued gloves, and they always had to have their gloves and their handbag on their arm, and we're not even allowed to carry handbags. Like, we can in certain things, but not typically. So now we're not issued makeup kits. We're not issued makeup brushes like they were up through into the 70s. Women Marines were issued makeup and makeup brushes. I'd be like, what do you want me to do with this? I had to cut my hair in boot camp because I didn't know how to do it right, and I was tired of them yelling at me for it. So I just, hey, somebody, can you cut my hair, please? Makeup, get out of here. So we've traded that in to be issued weapons, rifles, and we have to qualify every year on these weapons. So I mean that alone has said that just it's a lot. And I was actually on the Marine Corps Rifle Pistol team back in 2002, which was pretty cool. I was the only female on the team. I was a good shot, real good shot. I'm still expert. I was shooting from my M16 from 1,000 yards with a spotter next to me, but they say women are better shooters than men. Sorry, y'all. But so what made me join this predominantly male organization? Well, it's predominantly male. Growing up, as Junior said, I'm the youngest of 5. I wasn't raised with all of them. I was raised with my 2 older brothers and 2 older male cousins. So I was still the only girl. My mother, strongest woman on the planet. Mean, but strong. She didn't take any crap. Neither did her mom, my nanny, God rest her soul. But she was tough. She was hard. And when my brothers and my cousins would beat on me and pick on me, I was not to go run and cry and complain. And ooh, it was handle it, Danny, handle it. Okay, Mom. So I learned to handle it. And we weren't allowed in the house, so I was always out in the woods or outside doing something, climbing trees, stealing fruit, from the fields. Small town in New Jersey, South Jersey, farmland. So we didn't really have anything else to do. So fast forward, senior year of high school, I'm 16. And a Marine recruiter walks into our careers class. And he's, he looks sharp. The whole getup that they do. And I sat there and I listened to him and I looked at him and he was so proud and, fit and good at his job. He sold it very well. And from that moment on, I was like, I'm going to be a Marine. I went home. I said, Mom, Dad, I know what I'm going to be. Now, mind you, every week it was something new. And I was like, I'm going to be a Marine. They're like, yeah, okay, Danny, sure. And I just kept saying it. And finally, February of my senior year, I was 17. And I was like, no, I'm doing it. So the recruiter's coming over. I already took my ASVAB, and they had to sign. My parents were Air Force vets. They didn't retire. They just did their time. My mom couldn't conform. Go figure. So they signed for me. They tried to talk me out of it to join the Air Force. I was like, no. I want to join the hardest. I got something to prove. I was always with the guys, just always. I wanted to play football in high school. My mom wouldn't let me. So, yeah, my parents were in the Air Force. My sisters, my 2 older sister twins, when I finally found out I had them, they joined the Army, and one of them's still in. She's a lieutenant colonel. She's like this tall and just badass. She's got her silver spurs with the Army, the cavalry. I guess it's pretty awesome. But she's incredible. My brothers, one of them decided, he's like, nah, I'm not going to do the Army. He went to the nuclear plant like my dad did. My dad was started as a nuclear operator and then got into nuclear engineering. Then my oldest brother, Paul, he's like, oh, I'll join the Navy. So he joins the Navy, and then one day there's a knock on the door, and I was like 10. I open the door, and it's this guy. He's got a sea bag on. I was like, yeah? He's like, is your dad home? I'm like, yeah, hold on. Turns out it was my brother that I didn't know existed. And it also turns out that he went AWOL from the Navy and came to our house. And then became a deserter. So apparently the military wasn't for him either. Yes, I came from a strong line of women in my family. The guys just are like, so back in '99 when I joined there was about 3% women in the Marine Corps. Today, it's about 8.3, and they're trying to get it to 10%. It's going to be tough, but it's not easy being a woman in the Marine Corps. It's probably, I mean, it's not easy being a woman in the Navy, I'm sure, or the Army, or any of them, but especially not in the Marine Corps. I've had some trials and tribulations, but I'm not one to complain. I'm one to just do my job and prove people wrong and keep on going. By not complaining and getting things done, that's what led me to my leadership style. I can harden the most, or I can soften the most hard male Marines. They're intimidated by women. So I don't know if they're intimidated or scared, but I guess that's kind of the same thing. Or they just don't like us. It's one of those two. You come across males that are like, you don't belong. Like, go somewhere else. Then you got some that are like, I'm just not going to talk to her. You know, I don't know. So, in the field, when we go to the field, this is, again, my leadership style. I do not, they tried telling me, first Sergeant, you know, why don't you set up your tent? Go, you know, the women should probably, and I only have like 4 out of a whole company. You should go. And I'm like, no, I'm staying with my Marines. Are you kidding me? No. I'll be right here next to the CO, and all the other male Marines are going to be there. Sure, we'll put the junior enlisted, like a couple females, not far. I don't want to be segregated, but, you know, young enlisted members can get into some crazy stuff. So my Marines, they respected that. I'm always with them all the time. So I try to mentor my young female Marines to not complain. Don't try to use their gender as power, but use it as a driving force. Like, I can do it. Don't you tell me that I can't because I'm a woman. I can. And they are my Marines. And we, as Marines, as Master Guns can attest, we are very possessive, like territorial. And we say, they're my Marines. Their well-being and their safety and everything is under it's on me. They don't succeed if they, you know. And a lot of times I take a lot of things more personal than I should. But that's because they mean everything to me. And the PFT, Master Guns, I keep talking towards you because you know. Running was never my strong suit. I can run. I always got first class PFT. Always. Because I was young, there's no reason not to. But it just wasn't my strong suit. And one day I was at Lejeune. I was a young either PFC or Lance Corporal. And my corporal came up to me. We were talking, and he said, you know, PT is the most visible form of leadership. And I was like, yeah, right. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, in our world, it is. It may not, it shouldn't be that way, perhaps, but it is. That's the reality. That's the nature of the beast. And that statement has stuck with me for my whole, 15 years after that. And I was like, he's right. Because if we see somebody fall out of a run, or you could be the most stellar Marine there is, but people won't get past that. They're like, she must be a bad Marine, a bad leader, because she can't run. So I worked on that, and then when the Marine Corps decided to change the flexed arm hang to start phasing in pull-ups for females, I was like, all right, I better start working on my pull-ups. Right, Junior? He was helping me. So I was down the street at the Intel schoolhouse, and we installed a pull-up bar inside, and I had a band, and I would just work my pull-ups. And then the Marine Corps said, all right, females, you because we're phasing it, you can either choose to do the flexed arm hang or pull-ups. The max is 8. The max for flexed arm hang is always 70, which I don't know what the minimum is because I don't strive for the minimum. I strive for the best. So I got on the bar and I got to 8, and I was like, 1 for chesty, 1 for the core. And I didn't do that to be cocky or, arrogant. I did it because I wanted to show that, yeah, we can do this. Women, we can do it. You just got to work. So then by the time it was completely enforced and there was no more flexed arm hang, I was ready. And it's not easy, but you have to adjust and overcome. So, yeah, I don't expect of my Marines what I cannot do. When we run our PFT, when we run our CFT, when, we have to go into the gas chamber like I do in 2 weeks, which I'm not looking forward to. I'll always be the first, always. Because I'm not going to be the one in the back. Like, oh, I'm the first sergeant, I'll do it another day. No, I'll be right up there with them. Let's go. Who's coming with me? Who wants to go first? All of it, swim call, diving off the thing. I will always be first. And they respect that. Because that's the type of leader I wanted to be that I didn't see during my young Marine Corps career. So why did I choose to become a first sergeant? As when you pick up gunny, E7, on your fit reps, you have to put F or M. Whether you want to become a first sergeant as an E8 or a master sergeant. So master sergeant is the SME of his or her MOS. And first sergeant is the troop handler. I was like, I want to be with Marines because I witnessed a lot of poor leadership and I want to make a difference. And I want to make my Marine Corps better by making better Marines. So I got selected, and because it's not guaranteed, even if you put F on your fit reps, they could still be like, you're not first arm material, we're going to make you a master. So I got it, first try. I was a baby, so I was frocked, and I didn't get started getting paid for 10 months. But I knew that's where I needed to be. I wanted to be with my Marines. And I was, like Junior said, the first female first sergeant of comm company ever. And I had big shoes to fill, and I know Marines. I know that they were trying to find me on Facebook, and they were looking me up in McTiffs to see what my PFT and CFT score is and my rifle range score and all that. And I'm like, go for it. Because I bet you my PFT and CFT scores are better than 90% of the company. And I'm old to them. So I get there, and they were like, okay. Because I was a little more jacked back then. And but, first sergeants are known to be scary, mean. When you see a diamond walking down, you avoid it. You think you're going to get your ass chewed for something because they're nasty. And I was like, no, I want to change that. First sergeants are supposed to be there to take care and mentor Marines. So some of my Marines are they're still getting used to my leadership style because I'll joke with them. I'm with them all the time. I was taught first sergeant should never be at her desk. His or her desk. So I'm out walking around. I was telling Junior after the last comments, I had on my iWatch, and I marked 8 miles that day. And we weren't in the field. We were at our HTC. We have a comm shop in the back, but it's just walking around, talking to the Marines. Hey, trying to, I don't know comm, but talking to them about hey, what's this? And oh yeah, first I didn't. And I'll be like, oh okay. Walk away I don't know what the hell he just said, but all right. So I'm thankful that they chose me to be a first sergeant. I love my job. I wish I was active duty. I regret getting off active duty back in 2008, but I know that there's a reason for all of it. So when I was in Latvia, taking care, I was the camp commandant, first sergeant, and it was a mess. I mean, it's just dirt, tents, and morale's super low. We're eating MREs or cereal every day for breakfast, lunch, and, well, sometimes we had hot rats at night. But still, they're like the MRE. So I would, I went out in town. I had one of the Lovians take me out in town. I bought a bunch of pizzas for all the Marines. And it's amazing how you can boost morale just with food, with common things that we take for granted when we're not, or when we're here. And then, if something needed to be done and we were on a time crunch, like breaking down this or that, who's out there with them? I am. Because I'm not better than any of them. That's what my dad, I was raised that way. People are people. Yeah, I outrank them. And there are things, if I don't have to do it because we're not on a time crunch or whatever, then if I'm busy with something else, I'm just busy with something else. But I'll get down there with them. I love it. You get to know them. You have to get to know them or you won't know how to approach them when something happens in their life, because everybody's different. So you have to adjust your leadership style with each individual. And then when I got to Greensboro, I was like, I want a meeting with all my NCOs, just my NCOs. And mind you, I'm still semi-new. They don't know me that well yet. So I get them all in this big room, and I was like, all right, Marines, let's talk. And they're not going to say anything. I mean, they're scared to death. So I'm like, look, I want to talk. That's it. That's it. Like, just let's figure this out. What do you guys want done differently in the company? What changes do you want made? Da, da, da. And I'm like, come on, like, let's talk. And finally, they started opening up, and one of them said, First Sergeant, we've never done this before. None of our first sergeants in the past have ever done this. And I said, well, in my head I'm like, that's a damn shame. But to them I'm like, everybody does things differently. It doesn't, I was like, I like to get to know you all, and want you all to get to know me and be comfortable. And so they were very taken aback in a positive way. And I continue to have my NCO meetings and even my Lance Corporal and below meetings. Just because, they know everything. There's E3s, she's the Lance Corporal Underground. If you want to find something out, you talk to them. They know it all. But, so I built this rapport with them, and I know that if anything goes down and we're gone, they have my back, because I will always have theirs, and I have in the past, and I will continue to. They mean the world to me. So when I get a text from one of my sergeants who's been at the unit for his whole Marine Corps career, telling me, and he's phenomenal, he's my top NCO, saying, First Sergeant, I just wanted to let you know first that I have to leave the unit, I have to get out of the Marine Corps because family stuff. And it killed him. He's like, it's just not fair to my Marines if I can't be there 100%. He goes, but I just wanted to let you know, out of all of them, you take the cake. And like, I've saved this text because I wonder, I'm like, am I making a difference? Like back to taking things too personally. Everything that happens, every time someone leaves the unit or whatever, I'm like, what could I have done differently? But so to hear that's why I put F on my fit rep. Sorry, Master Guns, you missed all that stuff. No. But granted, there are times that it's rough. I mean, my first day I checked in, I had a suicide. Very first day. It's hard. And then we had another one that last June. And right before I got there, there was another one. So that was 3 that these Marines had to, go through. And right after the last one, we were at Parris Island at the rifle range. I'm like, this is not good timing. But prior to going down there, I called Parris Island. I was like, trying to get in touch with Fleet Family Services or somebody that can come talk to them, and not as grief counselors, because we get beat in the head with that. But, I guess it is grief counseling. Not like signs and symptoms, but how do you handle it as an individual? So we're all in the squad bay, and tears are just, the Marines are opening up to these counselors. And yeah, it was incredible. And I stood up and I started talking and I said, you know, your pain's my pain. And like when you think that I don't, or a senior leadership doesn't feel what you all feel we do. I set this up because I want you to understand, and I hurt too. And they just, it's all about, you know, just taking care of your people how you would want to be taken care of. So many people just get the rank and they're like, I'm the senior enlisted. But it's just not me. And for my civilian job, it bleeds into that as well. I am the special security officer at NEIC, and the sailors, obviously I don't wear this, but they know, I mean, I have a big flag, I talk to everybody, you know, whatever. And I'll tell you what, you think my office is like the counseling office. I'm like, all right, I gotta start like saying, no, I've got work to do. Because they come to me all the time. And whether it's professional advice or just venting or, you know, it's awesome. And I actually had the privilege of pinning one of the sailors there. He's like, first sergeant, he doesn't call me that, but he's like, I want you as first sergeant to pin me, you know. And I was like, I have never pinned a sailor before, and I am so honored. And so I did, and I have sand from Iwo Jima in my office in Greensboro, and I have vials of it that I give to my Marines who go above and beyond. So I had a vial of it at my house, and I gave it to him. I presented it to him, and he just thought it was the coolest thing ever. I think it's the coolest thing too, but I'm a Marine, so you know us. We're brainwashed into that stuff. But it's just very, very rewarding, and not a day goes by that I don't try to learn and be better. As I was telling the cause, my unit, or my command here down the street, the CO is a woman, the XO is a woman, and they are badass. Like, they're just, the mission itself is pretty awesome, and it's still in its infancy stage. It's only 11 years old, a lot of visibility. They're in DC all the time doing PDBs and, you know, admirals, and it's crazy. But Commander Lukic, she is awesome. Naval Academy grad, and just hard as nails, doesn't take crap from anybody, and gets the job done. And I think she is incredible. I've never worked for a woman before, but I would work for them, and XO, who's about to be the CO. I'd work for them any day of the week. They're incredible. Okay, so now I'd like to actually talk about, or at least bring up, trailblazing women, other than myself. And dates, if that's all right. So, as I mentioned earlier, Opha May Johnson, 1918, was the first woman to enlist in the Marine Corps. I hope that she's in heaven looking down thinking, no, we're doing a good job. I hope she is. I'm sure she is. And mind you, this is not even close to some of the accomplishments, but we don't have time for all that. So 1943, Ann Lentz was the first commissioned officer. 1949, the first female black Marine enlisted, Ann E. Graham of Detroit, Michigan. 1953, Staff Sergeant Barbara Olive Barnwell was the first female Marine to be awarded the Navy Marine Corps Medal of Heroism for saving a fellow Marine from drowning in the Atlantic Ocean. Ruth Wood and Lillian Hartley were the first women to enter the Warrant Officer programs in 1953. First woman Marine promoted to E9 Master Gunnery Sergeant. Do you know this? I didn't either, it's all right. There was in 1960 a Master Gunnery Sergeant, Geraldine Moran. And then 1961 was the first female Marine promoted to Sergeant Major, Bertha Peters, Beleb. And then 74 is when stuff started getting real. PSC Regina Musser was the first Marine tank mechanic. We had our first MP in 1974. First Brigadier General, 1978, and that was Marine Corps Colonel Margaret Brewer. And then where I think we really made a turning point was after September 11th. Because we were forced into situations that hey, somebody's got to do the job. So the first woman to be killed during the war on terrorism was Marine Sergeant Jeanette Winters in 2002. Captain Vernice Armour was the first female combat pilot with combat missions in Iraq in 2003. Corporal Ramona Valdez and Lance Corporal Charette were the first women Marines killed in Iraq by an IED while in a convoy in 2005. Major Megan McClung, has anybody heard that name before? She's M3. She's the first female officer to be killed during the war. She's got a great reputation. She's pretty incredible. Very, very much respected. 2016, when Sergeant Major Wright was the first Sergeant Major of a MU. I was taken aback by that too. Can you believe that? 2016. I know. 2016 is also when all the combat MOS is open up to women in the Marine Corps. I don't know if you know this, but when Congress said that all services are going to be doing that, Marine Corps is like, can we get a waiver? We don't want our females doing that stuff. So they got denied. And we only have one Marine officer that passed School of Infantry officer course. And she remains to be anonymous. She did not want, well, I'm like, I don't even know what her name is. But that is a rigorous course. I wouldn't, no thanks. 2017, Marine PFC, Maria Dom's first female Marine to join infantry through traditional entry-level process. And like I said, 2017 is when the first female graduated the School of Infantry. So that's pretty much all I've got. I actually spoke for a half hour. But I'll open it to questions as long as they're not stump chump. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks for sharing your story, and
Thank you, ma'am.
thanks for your service.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. No questions?
Let's see, what was your driving force behind becoming a nurse? Who was your inspiration?
My inspiration, my dad. My dad and I were a team growing up. He's my best friend still to this day. And when I say my mom was a hard ass, she was a hard ass. She didn't like beat me or anything, but she was, I didn't like her. I didn't like her. My dad, I don't think he liked her. And, you know, it was me and him. And he was my rock. And him and my mom finally split. He couldn't handle it in 2016, my senior year. And I'm like, I'm getting out of here. There's nothing in this town for me. Anyway, Dad's like, you can go to college, I'll pay for it. Don't waste your money, Dad, I'm not ready. Like, I want to be a Marine. But he continues to just be my biggest supporter. He taught me how people should treat other people. He's just an incredible man, smart, kind. And I think that's where I get a lot of it from. I still have the hard-ass side from my mom, but that doesn't come out that much.
Fantastic. Thank you.
One question. Hey, what was your primary MOS?
Initially, it was 0111, and then I moved to 0231 because I was down at the schoolhouse.
That makes sense.
I was admin at first, and then I switched to Intel. And now I'm at 8999. Best job in the board.
Again, thank you, Sergeant. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hope I didn't bore y'all too much.